romantic love really is a precious thing. It is an expression of the divine love itself, just as self-love is. Only now we have this beautiful reflection in someone else. And the more that they reflect back that love to us, the more that we reflect the love back to them. And it becomes this really beautiful dance that we do with one another. Even if you've got two left feet like me. We connect, we exchange, we share, and we're able to easily highlight and notice the beautiful and incredible aspects of one another to each other. And so it starts off as this beautiful dance that just flows, and the passion's soaring, and often, you know, the sex life is, let's call it active, busy. Sometimes we'd say, you know, maybe almost, you know, busy enough to be a workaholic. But it's happening, and it's flowing. And you know what? It's because we're letting it flow. So we're in this state of euphoria often. And it's an incredible feeling. And what happens over time, there are certain things that come back to, you know, come back down to, I guess, a little bit more of an equilibrium. And particularly, I would say, even with the sex lives. I know from personal experience and talking and laughing with a number of friends that we've all been quite aware that we couldn't have maintained that level of intense sexual activity for years and years and years without possibly losing our jobs, you know, driving, you know, fatigued and putting ourselves at risk at the wheel, or any other potential, you know, problems that could have happened. But there is that balancing out. But it doesn't mean that loving connection is different. And it doesn't mean that sex needs to disappear altogether either. What it does mean, though, we get this other level of depth, of love rises up underneath or within us, within both of us, and becomes this new foundation. And often it's a foundation of learning and growth. And this learning and growth occurs most readily when the love is unconditional. It is so easy for us to start to be judgmental or critical, or to have higher expectations even all of a sudden of our partner. So all of those things that we sort of let go of when we were early, you know, in those sort of earlier months or years of the relationship that we didn't really care about, all of a sudden everything, we want to nitpick, becomes annoying. But only, again, if we let it, we can come back to that flow of love. The trick, I believe, is to make sure that you really look into your partner's eyes. When they're talking to you and they're telling you something that's important, or something that happened in their day, or something that's really affecting them, and it can be hard because sometimes we've got children running around, or we've got, you know, phones buzzing and dinner on the stove, and, you know, maybe a television in the background, or neighbours downstairs with loud music on. It can be a bit tricky, but we can still take a few moments to really look in that person's eyes, listen to what it is that they're saying, to go back into the heart and remember, I love him. I completely love him. Or I love her. I completely, unconditionally love her. And when we come from that space of unconditional love and remembering that love, everything shifts. Everything shifts. Because too often we go into fear, or we go into silly annoyance, or we go into something that I was discussing with a life coach not too long ago. We go into those behaviours of, okay, this one's going to be the parent and this one's going to be the child, and we start talking to that person as if they're a child, or they start talking to us like we're the child, and yep, then we're getting defensive, or we're not communicating properly anymore, or we feel like we're being picked on all the time, or we feel like we're not good enough anymore, or we feel like I just miss those times that you just loved me so much and showed me, or wrote me little notes, or gave me little gifts, or took me out, or whatever the different, love languages were that really resonated with you. And we get off track. And yet, it's not always because the love isn't there. Sometimes we feel it isn't anymore. And so some people will end the relationship, or they may have an affair, or they may just switch off and you know, get quite addicted to their phone or something else. But the love is still there and it's still waiting. And I've seen this with clients sometimes where they say, oh, you know, my husband, he doesn't really talk to me anymore. Every night he comes home from work, he eats his dinner, and then he just goes and watches television all night. Or he's on his phone all night, he's on the computer all night. And I just do my thing. We don't really talk. We don't really connect. And so what happens is we can easily then go into that, it's a very basic, I don't know, I feel like it's a really basic impulse that we do, or basic sort of reaction of going, it's their fault. Or if he or she did more of this, then I would feel better and I would feel the love again. But what are you doing? What can you shift? What can you bring back to the relationship? I often believe that it just takes one of us to shift for those ripple effects to start to be felt by another. And so if I'm mindful and I'm aware that, okay, I'm not going to talk to my partner like you know, an naughty child anymore, or I'm not going to, or the opposite, I'm not going to react anymore the way that I do when my partner talks to me as if I'm the, you know, the mischievous child or the immature one. Instead, I'm just going to answer as an adult. And I'm still going to feel love. And I'm still going to remember that they feel love for me, even if they're frustrated in that moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow that flow of love to keep coming into the relationship. And I'm going to think about things that helps us stay connected. Am I listening? Am I giving you my full attention? Am I looking you in the eyes when you're talking to me? Am I even facing you with my body language? Am I responding? Are my responses timely? Or am I just talking all over the top of you? I'm just going to be aware of who I am and the way I am. And I'm going to come from love. And instead of every time seeing things in the relationship as a sign of, oh, this relationship's not working, or oh my God, he just doesn't love me anymore, or she doesn't love me anymore, this relationship's doomed, I'm going to come back to love. I'm not going to do fear. Because we always have the two choices. We choose love or we choose fear. And I can tell you, when we choose love in a relationship, particularly in a romantic relationship, it just keeps flowing and flowing and flowing. And when those little bumps are there and we keep coming from love, we can smooth over those bumps. We don't make them into big mountains. We don't have these big dramas. We don't have to have big fights and break up, or I don't know, spend 3 nights sleeping apart or something to then come back together to soften, because the love's still there and we soften and come back together. No, we can skip all of the drama. And one of us chooses love, and we talk to our partners even about, how about we both try for the next 3 days, let's choose love and not fear. No matter what's happening, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, and I'll do the same with you. Let's choose love. We seem to find answers to things that we didn't before. We seem to laugh more. We seem to connect more. We seem to want to be intimate more. The long-term relationship, and I'm talking about that, and I'm not too sure what the exact question was around romantic love, but the long-term relationship really has this most beautiful potential for the love itself to keep growing. And so as we evolve as individuals, we also elevate our love as a couple. And we have the potential to deepen the intensity. And because that commitment continues with the focus on the love, as I said, not the fear, on the love, and on how we can both be better versions of ourselves. In that practical sense, we are perfect. We're perfect souls. We're here to learn. When we allow this to process and to happen, and acknowledge it within one another, take that time too to notice and say, hey, I really noticed that normally you would have snapped if I did that, and you didn't. In fact, you just had a little giggle with me, and it felt so good. And we make those acknowledgements with one another. Again, we keep fueling that love. And when we feel in connection with one another, and we allow that love to keep flowing between us, it's natural too that we want to be more intimate with one another. And ultimately, we all want that as well. So remember, it's something that needs our attention, it needs our awareness, our relationships. And we can think, yes, we have children or a child or animals or a business, work responsibilities. We may be caring for an elderly parent. We may have all of these things. But remember that that love, that romantic love, is so precious. Give it some of that time, some of that energy. Nourish it, nurture it. And make sure that you're also nurturing you, so that you're not just needy, grab, 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 I want this, I need that. Make sure that this is flow. We are both reciprocating. Even if our love languages can be a little bit different, notice when they're still giving you love. Yeah, maybe hubby cooks dinner every night, but you really want him to leave you love notes in the morning. Maybe that's not his style. Still notice the ways that he is loving you, and be grateful and acknowledge those and grow from there. Wishing you much love and light. You all deserve romantic love. All of us do. And so I wish for all of you to have that.